Hello and welcome back. I'm Chan the Tech Man, and this is episode 2 of the Journeyman project, Buried in Time. This is my Let's Play of it. Smash that like button, hit the subscribe button. My website is chansmith.me. It will be in the description of this video. If you want to donate, you can go there too to help me keep this going. And share my stuff on your social networking. Unless not there. There it is. Okay. Woo! Let's see. Okay, that is rather loud. Gonna try to find the news. Playing in adventure mode. Let's see what we can. No, go forward. See what's there. Huh? I'm sure that was sold. What the heck? Okay. And on the previous one, you could get on the news. Only way I can get out of here. Is there something there? I can pick up. Oh, there's some stuff up here.
Antique books for display purposes only. Please do not touch.
Cool, award. Looked like it was some kind of remote over here, but I guess it wasn't. Let's get out of here. Like I said, I have never played this before. I have read all that. I don't see a remote. Let's see. That's just over there. I haven't checked over what's over here. Something there too. Pretty, I guess there's nothing. But there was a room. How did I get to it? That's not it. There's a room. How do I get in there to it? There the way. What the heck? There is a room there. There. Let's see, look up, go forward. Look down, turn around. A remote control. That is a weird looking remote control. How do I sit down? Like this. Should be able to sit down. That's ah. I'll put that in there. Try the other one.
The soon-to-be-released Gino, A Fond Remembrance, is Volume 4 of G-Tech's Rock Through the Ages collection. Never before has there been a video collection that captures the many moods of Gino Andrews. You'll hear the melancholy Gino.
So many songs about the rain.
The rebellious Gino.
Selling yourself, set a price to pay. When you're selling yourself,
yes, the carefree Gino.
It's been my dream to be a traveler of sorts, to visit all kinds.
And of course, the lovesick Gino.
A song for her is all she wants from me.
All of his chart-topping videos are here, brought back from the archives of the past and completely remastered in stunning 4D sound. In fact, Gino, A Fond Remembrance is the most complete collection of Gino's hits ever compiled on one EC. Call our toll-free ShopNet line now and receive a free sample from the upcoming EC that's bound to be an instant classic. Gino, A Fond Remembrance.
I wonder if I can order that. $538-482-57. Now, how do I get?
The ongoing saga of Gage Blackwood took a frightening twist this morning when the agent of the Deep Time Unit broke house arrest to jump 9 years back in time. Fortunately, the illicit time jump was detected, and he was immediately apprehended by Agent 8 of the Temporal Protectorate. Although it's still not clear how and why Blackwood obtained the TSA jumpsuit, Temporal Security Agency officials did say that no distortion ripples have yet been detected, and that there is no reason whatsoever to believe that Blackwood has altered history in any way. Our Lisa Long has a report from TSA Administrative Headquarters.
Next.
In a strange turn of events that can only be described as unimaginable, the highly decorated Gage Blackwood, better known as Agent 5 of the Deep Time Unit, has been arrested and put on trial for the crime of historical sabotage. We apologize for the lack of trial footage, but because of the sensitive nature of the material being presented, no recording equipment has been allowed into the tribunal wing of the United Ministry Complex where the trial is being held. The drama unfolded 3 weeks ago when Agent 2 of the Temporal Protectorate discovered 4 distortion ripples while conducting an unscheduled historical scan. As it turned out, the dates of the ripples exactly coincided with times to which Agent 5 had been sent for research purposes. The agent immediately contacted his supervisors, and on their orders, 3 agents were sent to apprehend Agent 5, who offered no resistance. Later that day, more evidence was found in Blackwood's locker, suggesting that he had disobeyed Temporal Security Agency directives for personal gain. Unless deemed absolutely necessary, the TSA will not send agents to investigate or restore the distortions, as any further tampering with history may cause adverse effects, possibly even turning the ripples into full reality distortion waves.
Next.
Prosecuting attorney Phil Stevens alleges that Agent 5 intentionally altered the past in 4 of the 10 time zones to which he had been sent for research purposes, his only apparent motive being personal gain. In so doing, Agent 5 would have knowingly violated Temporal Security Agency ethics, as well as the law. As temporal sabotage in any form is considered the worst possible crime against humanity, Stevens is aiming for the maximum allowable sentence. The burden of proof lies on the prosecution. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Gage Blackwood was responsible for the distortion ripples. There is strong evidence working against Blackwood, including both computer records that place him at the altered historical locations and contraband that was discovered in his locker. But the evidence alone is not enough to ensure a conviction. With this in mind, prosecuting attorney Stevens has directed his questioning toward eliminating other possible explanations for the ripples. Witnesses for the prosecution have included Agent 2 of the Temporal Protectorate, the TSA's chief technician, and the designer of the circuitry for the jumpsuit.
Agent 2, the investigation began when 2 of the Temporal Protectorate ran an unscheduled, that's suspect, manual historical scan, and a procedure normally performed twice a year to reveal any anomalies missed by the scanner's faster but less sensitive automatic mode. Agent 2 discovered a temporal ripple that's a suspect, originated in the year 1050 AD, indicating that someone had gone back to that time and affected a historical important object or event. He soon found 3 more ripples in the years 1204 AD, 2247 AD, and 1488 AD. Fortunately, none of these changes were serious enough to cause full reality distortion wave. The agent then realized that the ripple exactly coincided with several of Agent 5's research mission dates. Agent 2 reported what he found and was subsequently sent to Blackwood along with Agent 3 and 7 they, okay, sent after Blackwood along with Agent, I think Agent 3 is that girl. They located the suspect in Tahiti where he was spending his day off and apprehended him without incidents following TSA protocol. They then brought Agent 5 to the UMC where he was arraigned and later released to house arrest. Prosecuting attorney Stevens called a TSA computer technician to testify based on the knowledge of the scanner array. The technician testified that the scanners were designed to detect any illicit time jumps and were monitored at all times by a member of the temporal protectorate. Yet, to his knowledge, at no point during the period in question were the scanners ever offline or were performing improperly, and at no point was an unsanctioned time jump detected, a fact corroborated by the security logs, which they said it was down. He said, or some, I remember seeing that it was down. Miss Margie Chong was called to testify based on her knowledge of the time displacement unit or jump chute which she designed. The circuitry, she was asked whether it's possible to someone else to have used Agent 5 jump chute. Mr. Cho said that security precautions mandated that only one person be able to use each suit. She went on to explain that each jump suit was coded specifically to the DNA of the agent who used it and automatically self-destructed if tampered with. In addition to computer records which document Agent 5's research activity, the V-Logs report made by him during his research mission jumps definitely placed him at each of the altered historical locations. The files were not made available to the press. An inspection of Agent 5's locker revealed on one valuable but not historical significant object from each of the 4 altered time zones that he was sent to. The 4 items included a gold ornament from this, a jewelry orb from this, a sketch from Leonardo da Vinci's studio, and a signed document from Kenneth Fernstein's lab.
In the absence of an alibi or any evidence proving Agent 5's innocence, defense attorney Sandra Gallagher will be setting out to show, through the testimony of character witnesses, that it is not likely Mr. Blackwood committed the crime. If the defense can elicit some doubt of Blackwood's guilt, he will go free. Witnesses for the defense will include Agent 3 of the Deep Time Unit, Agent 8 of the Temporal Protectorate, the Commissioner of the Temporal Security Agency, and Agent 5 himself. The defense has not yet had the opportunity to present its case. However, we have contacted both the Chief Technician and Commissioner of the TSA to ask them their feelings on the arrest of Gage Blackwood. Neither Agent 3 of the Temporal Security Agency nor Mr. Blackwood could be reached for comment.
With us now is William Doughton, the TSA Chief Technician. He joins us live from the Temporal Security Agency Administrative Headquarters. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Doughton.
Thank you, Mark.
You've known Gage Blackwood for many years, and I understand that the two of you are good friends. Do you think he's guilty?
Absolutely not. The thought that he could be guilty never even crossed my mind. I mean, friend or no, here you've got someone who's dedicated his whole life to protecting history and now stands accused of violating it. That's ridiculous. And if you don't believe me, look at his record. The man's a decorated hero. You can't overlook that fact just because it doesn't fit neatly into the story the prosecution's trying to sell.
Isn't it true you testified that no one else made a time jump to any of the altered historical locations?
No, actually I testified the scanners didn't register anyone making a time jump to those locations. But computers are only as intelligent as their human programmers. Now, I believe it's possible that someone could have shadowed Agent 5's jumps. If a second time traveler were to make a jump within a few seconds of the first into the same location, the chronolog scanners probably wouldn't recognize it as a second jump.
That would explain
Have you been able to test
what he
this
saw.
theory?
No, not yet. It's too dangerous. If two people were to travel through the same null time tunnel and land in the exact same place, well, their matter would mix and that would kill them.
And you believe that someone found a way around this?
It's possible, yes.
Okay, well, thank you for your insights, Mr. Doughton. I have with me now Commissioner Jack Baldwin of the Temporal Security Agency, who's coming to us live from TSA Administrative Headquarters. Commissioner, thank you for joining us. Now, the first and most obvious question is, are you confident in your arrest of Gage Blackwood as the perpetrator of this crime?
We had to arrest Agent 5 because of the evidence, not because we think he did it. There was an obvious transgression. Someone was responsible for it, so we arrested the person to whom the evidence pointed. Now it's up to the courts to determine whether or not he's guilty.
So you believe he's innocent?
Absolutely. I've known Gage ever since he joined the TSA. In fact, I'm the one who recruited him. Gage Blackwood.
He's in the first
is a member of an endangered species. Gage Blackwood is a hero. He has put his life on the line many times to prevent this exact thing from happening. There's absolutely no way he would have abused his position at the risk of a single life, let alone history as we know it. No, it just doesn't make sense.
Mr. Blackwood has been an agent for quite a while now, 13 years, I believe. Is it possible that the temptation just became too great for him to bear?
No. Gage is as committed to his duty now as he was back when he apprehended Elliot Sinclair. He was, and he is, our finest agent.
Okay, let's assume for a minute that he did do it. Knowing that he would be facing life imprisonment on Vega Thalon, do you feel that he would plead guilty?
First of all, it's a moot point because he didn't do it. But, presuming he did, knowing Gage, I'd say he had a damn good reason. And he would have confessed immediately. He wouldn't have pretended innocence, not for 1 minute. Bottom line, Gage Blackwood is no criminal. Gage Blackwood is a hero.
Okay, Commissioner, it looks like we're out of time. Thank you.
Okay, got those.
If Blackwood is indeed guilty, he has altered more than just the past. The future, too, will likely feel the results of his actions. The Deep Time Unit will probably be discontinued before ever realizing its full potential. But there is an even greater issue at stake. That is whether the Temporal Security Agency itself is more of a risk than a safety measure. Many feel that it should be shut down and everything related to time travel destroyed. Others argue that the technology has already been invented, so there's nothing stopping it from being reinvented for the wrong reasons. So in their opinion, the Temporal Security Agency must remain operational to safeguard against future acts of historical sabotage.
Let's see. I think I did that.
Will return after a word from our sponsor. La peinture fraîche.
Hey, what the heck?
Jote Latzande. Sasta Gorsht.
If you hadn't understood those important messages, you would have just
Wet Paint.
screwed up your best suit,
The Flippity Vengeance.
driven off of a cliff,
Cheap Meat.
been poisoned,
Restaurant smoking in lobby.
and peed your pants on a foreign planet. Yes, for all those reasons and more, there's the Omniglot DM dual mode translator biochip from Samco.
Just pop the Omniglot DM into any standard biotech interface and voila! No more frustration, no more confusion.
That's
the
handy.
Omniglot DM instantly translates the written and spoken forms of any known language. It does it all. The Omniglot DM Translator Biochip from Semco. Get it today.
Samco Translator Biochip available at Frugal's and other fine stores for a low price of $199.90 or order over ShopNet. Product order code 689-22378. 689-22378. Order now. 689-22378. Okay, I got that written down. Okay.
The heads of ministry will continue to meet with symbiotry representatives today in the Assembly Hall of the United Ministry Complex. These talks were requested by several member races as a forum in which to discuss the place of time travel technology in the symbiotry of peaceful beings. Today marks the beginning of the third week of negotiations, yet there is still no end in sight. Sarah Michaels is standing by at the United Ministry Complex with a report.
Thank you, Mark. The main factor protracting the discussions is the inability of the symbiotry to decide what should be done with the technology. The representatives have formed three distinct factions whose strongly opposing views have caused them to remain tenaciously entrenched in a deadlock. While one group believes we are committing the unforgivable act of hoarding a vital technology, a second supports the symbiotry tenet that each race has sovereignty over its own technologies. The third contingent, which has grown in strength since the arrest of Agent 5, contends that time travel represents a threat to every race of the symbiotry and should be destroyed altogether. Even though most attending races strongly disagree with humanity's sole ownership of the technology, our heads of ministry refuse to acknowledge their arguments, citing its inevitable misuse as their foremost concern. Therefore, barring symbiotry action, it is unlikely that the status of time travel as a proprietary technology of Earth will change.
The opinion originally held by the majority of races represented at the talks is that time travel technology is an invaluable tool for self-discovery and, as such, should not be denied to any race. However, the Loxoni abandoned this position last week in favor of destroying the technology. Presumably, this sudden change of opinion was due in large part to the arrest of Agent 5, an unfortunate illustration of the danger of time travel.
Aha, now we're getting down to it.
The Dorlun and Zangtrakar, on the other hand, have continued to cling tightly to their convictions. They're of the opinion that this technology is far too important to be buried because of paranoia. Time travel, the Zangtrakar argue, is like any other powerful tool. It represents a danger only if the user doesn't have the insight to take the proper precautions. And if care is taken, there should be no reason whatsoever to fear what should be the greatest advance the symbiotry has ever known. Perhaps Brandon Farlink, the Dorlun emissary, stated the feelings of these two races most eloquently. At long last, he said, we can all be in touch with our pasts. Each race can now know the truths of its history. No longer must time be wasted with painstaking research and endless conjecture, only to arrive at an uncertain understanding of the events that shaped history. The answers, all the answers, lie within our reach if only we have the will to grasp for them. The Dorlun and Zangtrakar, on the other hand, perhaps Brandon Farlink, the Dorlun. Despite being recently abandoned by the Kryn, two of humanity's staunchest supporters, the Sorolans and the Tsar, have continued to defend our right to autonomy over time travel technology. Like those that favor dismantling it, these two races would rather leave their past buried than risk losing it altogether. But unlike the others, the Sorolans and Tsar believe that humanity harbors a maturity beyond its years and can be entrusted with preserving the sanctity of history. In fact, they suggest that our closeness to our violent past makes us even better suited to manage time travel, as the dire consequences of the misuse of technology still stain our racial memory. Unfortunately, theirs is a minority opinion. The prevailing response to this argument is that Earth's record with time travel speaks for itself. In just 10 years, there have already been incidents of deliberate historical sabotage, the latest of which allegedly involving an agent of the Temporal Security Agency. Our benefactors, however, dismiss the Elliott, Sinclair, and Gage Blackwood incidents as aberrant acts by disturbed individuals rather than a weakness of humanity as a whole. And they ask, as a sign of good faith and trust in the newest member of the symbiotree, that the future of time travel technology be left to our discretion. The third viewpoint, which was originally held only by the Ulma, is that the existence of time travel technology represents a threat to the history of every race in the symbiotree. For this reason, these races feel that all existing time machines should be completely dismantled. Following the arrest of Agent 5, the Loxoni changed their allegiance from petitioning for the release of time travel technology to requesting its destruction. They were joined by the Kryn, for whom this represents a break in their long-standing tradition of fervently supporting every race's right to sovereignty over its own technologies. The Loxoni now proclaim that if not destroyed, the technology must at the very least be put in the safekeeping of an elder race of the symbiotree. They cite security as their main concern. Like the others that share their goal, they feel that humanity lacks the necessary discretion to control such a powerful tool. As a side note, it should be mentioned that the Loxoni themselves are among the eldest races of the symbiotree.
Now we get into it. They might have done this.
Despite the arguments made by the symbiotree envoys, the general opinion of the heads of ministry so far appears unswayed. Michael Rozhenko of the Northwest Asia Collective rebutted that the danger of time travel falling into the wrong hands and being used to change history, however slight, is still too great to even consider releasing the technology. It must be realized that time travel has not only the power to unlock the secrets of history, but also unparalleled potential for destruction. Few could argue that it would be foolish to give such a tool to anyone, regardless of its intended use. On the other hand, it's also too late for it to be destroyed, as was pointed out by Chancellor of Law Rick Allen, when he stated that the technology has already been created and can therefore be recreated. Chancellor Allen emphasized his point by attesting that if all known time travel technology were destroyed and a new time machine built without government knowledge or approval, there would be no way to intervene in the actions of the illicit time traveler. He would have free rein to rewrite history to his liking. Unfortunately, such scenarios are all too likely, as was proven by the Elliott Sinclair incident and the current trial of Gage Blackwood.
INN will return after a word from our sponsor.
Toast. Cheese. That's weird.
Cheese girl.
I like these cheesy 90s stuff. No pun intended. 6259497 Write that down again. 6259497 I'm glad I had that paper handy.
In a last-ditch effort to stay afloat, the Louvre Art Museum held an auction of unprecedented scale yesterday. The museum was forced to sell off many of its older collections to pay off creditors and to raise funds desperately needed for renovations to the facility. In a fervent display of support, the art community rallied around the historic landmark, showing that the museum itself is every bit as valuable an artifact as any of the works of art it contains. The auction was an astounding success, raising 138.5 billion credits, easily surpassing the 100 billion credit goal. This windfall was due in large part to one generous bidder who preferred to remain unidentified. Martin Walker is standing by with a live report from the Louvre.
Thanks, Mark. I'm standing inside the historic Louvre Museum in Paris. Behind me sits one of the few pieces to survive yesterday's extensive art auction. Items up for auction included artifacts and works of art from many of the Louvre's oldest collections, including the Da Vinci exhibit, the ancient Egyptian, and Toltec Mayan exhibits. 4 particular items were snapped up by a generous bidder who paid much more than the asking price. The bidder's identity is unknown, but it is assumed to be an art enthusiast who didn't want to see the Louvre shut down. There are rumors, however, that the buyer may actually have been acting on behalf of another race in the symbiotry, which, according to the Earth History Preservation Act of 2322, would be illegal. We're told an investigation may follow. Museum sources that I spoke to speculated that the revenue from the auction will be enough to keep the Louvre in operation for at least the next 5 years. However, they warned me that the price of admission may go up in order to help cover operating costs. A small price to pay for such a wealth of human history and culture.
A lot of information here.
The Louvre's financial difficulties arose from a combination of rising maintenance costs, overspending, and lower than normal attendance. Several costly acquisitions in recent years sunk the museum into spiraling debt. When repairs to the facilities became unavoidable and visitor attendance fell, it became clear that a major influx of cash was needed to cure the museum's ills. In June, the decision was made to auction off several of its older exhibits. That decision paid off well yesterday. The 4 items that the unidentified bidder purchased included the Toltec Mayan ceremonial coffer, King Richard the Lionheart's sword from the Crusades, Leonardo da Vinci's Codex Atlanticus, and an interactive sculpture entitled Self-Awareness, credited to Kenneth Farnstein. Attendees of the auction said the buyer did not try to purchase any other items, but immediately made an excessive bid on these 4 artifacts as soon as the bidding opened.
That is interesting.
Experts estimate that the unidentified man paid at least 7 billion credits more than the true value of the pieces, but none could say why he was so interested in 4 such disparate artifacts. They eventually conceded that it may have simply been their rich histories that intrigued him.
Okay, this unusual jade and gold coffer is thought to have played a role in Mayan religious ceremonies. It was discovered in 2027 during an archaeological dig with its previously undiscovered cavern below the pyramid, known as the High Priest's grave. The most distinctive feature of the coffer is its spherical shape and an intricate looking mechanism, which make it the most important find ever to have come out of this place. The complex mechanism of the mechanics of the device, which is similar in construction to a Chinese puzzle box, prove that the Maya were much more capable of builders than previously believed. For many years, the coffer was thought to be cursed, as its 4 owners perished under mysterious circumstances. It is now known that its lock mechanism contained poison needles that jab anyone who attempted to open it without having entered the proper combination. Yet, despite the fact that the coffer is now better understood, old beliefs and superstitions have dissuaded any further attempt at opening it. Unfortunately, radiograph has yielded few clues about the contents of this unique coffer, which currently resides in the Museum of History. This beautiful sword remains one of the finest relics of the medieval period. Its masterfully engraved forged steel blade is embellished in integral ornamental design from the very tip down to its elegantly simplistic hilt, which is punctuated with a 4-carat diamond. Thought to have been lost forever after taken from Philip Augustine in the siege of this in 1204, this masterpiece was unearthed at almost a millennium later during the excavation of a condemned French chateau. The sword had apparently been in the collection of a wealthy baron who hid his valuables in an underground bunker during World War II. They remained there for almost three quarters of a century until rediscovered in 2015. Interesting. Codex Atlantica is Leonardo da Vinci's codex on flight. It contains his collective observations of flight of birds as well as designs for flight machines and other thoughts of how flight can be achieved by humans. The complex Codex Atlantica, like all of Da Vinci's other codexes, is written in Latin Minor writing, giving us a glimpse of his secretive nature. It is not known whether any of the flying machines designed by Da Vinci were ever built. If so, they were certainly not capable of flight. However, as his designs and concepts could be seen in working flying machines centuries later, there's no denying that Da Vinci must be credited as the father of the flying machine. The interactive sculpture entitled Self-Awareness is one of the series recovered from the derelict space station Amarex in AD 2282 that were later accredited to the artist and biotechnologist Kenneth Farnstein. These sculptures have long been a subject of much speculation and controversy, as they allowed a series of paintings, undoubtedly by the same author, which Feinstein himself credited to artificial personality, which he had created, though his claims were never substantiated. There is enough evidence to have captured the world's imagination, and to his day people speculate as to whether Farnstein has succeeded in what no one to this day has achieved, the creation of true artificial life. Regardless of their origins, the sculpture gained immediate recognition as a masterpiece. Testimony to this was ably provided by New York Chronicle's art critic. This in the following review excerpts from this edition of the paper: Humanity's long history of artistic endeavors has periodically allowed us mere mortals an occasional glimpse to the clarity of vision that is the dominant domain of genius. The Van Gogh, Mozart, of this world have opened doors inside us with their works for a moment, bringing into sharp detail the fuzzy things at the perpetual edge of our own introspection, with an astounding series of multi-dimensional mode of construction. The anonymous, I will never be convinced with the popular accrediting of Fahrenstein, author of the self here life sculpture, placed herself among the ranks of history's greatest cartograph of the soul. The piece, which a lot of reading, which in their neutral form of luminous sphere are impressive enough for their unfathomable technology, have a physical presence that is impossible to convey in words as deed. They have evidence of most accomplished documentarian attempts to capture them on the web. The experience of research out of the self-awareness, the physical response as it disrobes and unfolds into a chronologue of unfiltered emotion, is one that must be felt in situ. One has the sense, as with all great art, that it is responding to you personally. What truly set the self-here life work apart, however, beyond the controversy of the discovery and novelty of their media, is the sense of unself-consciousness, as if the art were simply purging herself of emotion, unfiltered by intellect, free from the pretensions of interpretation analysis. One is left to wonder if the art is not a child unrestrained by the burden of understanding, but driven by the need to make tangible the elusive currents of life, as if to capture them in the frame of a canvas or the patterns of a projection, whether to somehow bind them like the power of naming and arcane magic. But then it is not what art has been, is it not what art has been about? Okay. I think I
The
did
Louvre's
this.
financial difficulties arose from a combination of rising maintenance costs, overspending, and lower than normal attendance. Several costly acquisitions in recent years sunk the museum into spiraling debt. The 4 items that the unidentified man purchased included the Toltec Mayan ceremonial coffer, King Richard the Lionheart's sword from the Crusades. Leonardo experts estimated that the unidentified man paid at least 7 billion credits more than the true value of the pieces, but none could say why he was so interested in 4 such disparate artifacts. They eventually conceded that it may have simply been their rich histories that intrigued him.
Did that, need this?
The events surrounding the arrest of Agent 5
No commercial.
bring back, for most, memories of the Elliot Sinclair incident. That historic day 10 years ago could have turned out much differently if it weren't for Agent 5 of the Temporal Protectorate. After building the first ever functional time machine, only to have the government shelve the project because it was considered too dangerous, Sinclair decided to sidestep the politicians and build his own temporal transporter. Years later, when the Sirolans made contact with Earth to offer us a place in the symbiotry of peaceful beings, the xenophobic scientist suddenly found himself with a new purpose. Fearing an alien invasion, he tried to convince the public that the Sirolans were not what they appeared to be. But this endeavor met with little success. Frustrated, exasperated, and on the verge of insanity, Sinclair formulated a plan to make Earth a more difficult target for the Sirolans. On the day of the Sirolan ambassador's arrival, he sent each of his 3 robot minions back in time to change the course of history. The first he sent to create a nuclear scare that would prevent world unification and prolong the Cold War. The second was to destroy the Morimoto Mars colony and make it look like the work of an alien race. And the third Sinclair sent to kill Dr. Enrique Castillo, the individual who was most influential in convincing humanity of the benefits of joining the symbiotry. His backup plan, should his robots have failed, was to assassinate the Sirolan delegate. It was our good fortune that Agent 5 was on duty at the Temporal Security Annex that day. He detected the temporal distortions, stopped each of the androids, and then apprehended Sinclair himself. That fateful morning made a hero of Agent 5 and spawned the blockbuster holoflick, The Journeyman Project. Elliot Sinclair was put on trial and found guilty of all charges. He was sentenced to life imprisonment on Vega Thalon and hasn't been heard from since.
I don't know. There's a whole lot of information here that we have, so I'll end this episode with this, and when we continue, we'll see if we can get those items from the numbers I wrote down, and I'm gonna try the phone again to see if I get all the messages, and go through the biochip stuff here, and the inventory, and go through all of that to see what we have. And this was a little longer episode, but just a lot of stuff to do, and I want to be thorough, so thank you. I'm Chan the Tech Man. Smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, share my stuff on your social networking. Go to my website, chansmith.me. Will also be in the description of this video. And if you want to donate, go there. Appreciate it. Until next time, I'm Chan the Tech Man. Well, let's go ahead and let's save this real quick. Okay, episode 2. Remember, that's on data 2. Make sure, yes. And thank you. Until next time.